Well, one of the guys that was around during all this time was E-Moneybags.
Yes.
Did you ever deal with him directly?
Never dealt with him directly, but his case was covered under my trial with the Supreme team, his murder case.
Okay, so E-Moneybags was a known guy. He was also a rapper.
Right.
And at one point, him and Supreme got into a beef over a car.
Yes. So there was a guy named Spencer Crump from New Jersey, and he was one of these guys who'd get you cars, so how illegitimate it was, I don't know. It was one of those deals where if you need a car, usually, a nice car, like a flashy car, he would get them some kind of weird lease agreement or whatever. And the whole thing was like half fugazi, but he'd get you the car. So Supreme hooked E up with this guy, Spencer. Somewhere along the line, it went bad. I think E might have changed his mind. It was taking too long. He wanted some other kind of car. And then he wanted his down payment back. And it wasn't happening. And for whatever reason, and McGriff and him had a blowout over it. It got to the point where they had an argument in person, and then E pulled out a gun to shoot Supreme and ended up shooting. Well, he pulled out a gun, fired some rounds. I don't know what his intentions were. I'm going to assume to harm Supreme, but Supreme's #1 lieutenant, Black Just, Colbert Johnson, he gets shot in the leg. Supreme drives him to Jamaica Hospital, pulls him out of the car, and he ends up bleeding out of his femoral artery and dies.
Did he actually put him in the hospital first or no?
He drove him to the hospital. You see him rip him out of the car, and then he takes off.
Oh, so just drops him off the front door?
Yeah.
Okay.
He alerted whoever was out there. But and so now E-Moneybags goes into hiding. I was actually privileged. I had an informant call this woman, Sherry. I forget her last name, but she used to date both E and Black Just. And at one time, on the phone call, she says, that E-Moneybags was really upset that she was now dating Black Just, and he was talking about going after him and everything else. And so she told Black Just, and he went and had a sit down with E and tried to calm him down. And apparently it was all worked out. So there is some speculation by some people that he didn't really care if he hit Black Just or not. But he always told the story that he was sorry he got hit, and, it wasn't his intention.
Okay, so this shooting happens. Black Just gets killed.
Right.
Supreme doesn't get hit. So you talked about how after that, Supreme wanted E-Moneybags dead.
Yes, amongst other people, yeah.
Okay. And not only did he want him dead, but he wanted it filmed.
Yeah, so there came a time when there was a double homicide in Maryland, and two drug dealers from New York. One's name was K-Ron Claret. He was an associate of Supreme's. He and his bodyguard or buddy end up dead outside a condo in Owings Mills, Maryland. And they set up the scene. They find out that they were going to an apartment there. They get a search warrant for the apartment and find, amongst other things, drug paraphernalia, but Supreme's personal effects. One of those things was a VHS cassette. So they do their due diligence. They find out who Supreme is. They make some calls, and I end up going down, spending several trips down to Owings Mills to visit with members of the Baltimore County Homicide Squad. And they produced this tape. So we pop it in, and I'm watching it, and it's a woman speaking, and she's holding up a video camera, looking out the window and saying, "You better hurry, he's out." They're bringing him a plate of food, and there's basically E sitting in his truck, and the family who's having a barbecue at this house, and they're bringing food back and forth. And he wasn't paying attention. He wasn't looking in his mirrors. And she guided the hit team in to kill him. Supreme had assembled a team of guys. This guy Manuel Mosley, used to go by the name of Manny Dog. He put this hit team together. He had guys like eBay from World's Crew, some other guys that he knew from or were recommended by Supreme. They had been living in a house out there, responding to phone calls like E's over here, 50's over there, Big Nose Troy's over here. And they would they were like a rapid response team of hitmen who would just go out looking for him. And on all that day, she was guiding them in to kill E, and they did it. So.
Okay, and this happened outside of Stretch's house.
Yes.
Stretch, who later on would roll around with Tupac.
Yeah, well, this is after Stretch is dead.
Oh, this is after his death?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and his brother lived at the house. I think his brother's street name was Majesty or Majestic.
Okay.
I think it was Majesty for some reason. It was like a 5%er name. And yeah, so they're having their little barbecue, and little does he know she's guiding this hit team in. So, and then I think he gets killed first. And he was a crazy guy, E. He was from the other side of Queens, and he was a robber and a hustler and, a real violent kid. And he was kind of tight with Big Nose Troy, Troy Singleton. And they were two guys that pushed back against Supreme. Once they went at odds, they would take shots at different guys here and there that were tight with Supreme. They're street guys from Murder Inc. Records. So Supreme looked really weak at that point when he's got these two youngins who are just like, screw you, we'll do whatever we want to do. You've been away. And so he had to go first, though, I would assume, because Black Just was a well-respected guy in Queens, and he was a gentleman gangster, if there is such a thing. So,
okay, so the woman who filmed the incident and actually called in the guys to kill him,
Nicole Brown,
she was a crackhead.
Yeah, she was all banged up. I mean, like a child. Dealing with her was like dealing with like a 10-year-old bratty kid. She admitted to her part in it, and it was important to Supreme that it was filmed. And sadly, though, she ends up dropping the camera as soon as these guys pulls up. She doesn't want to. She gets scared, and I guess she goes to duck or whatever. So why they held on to the tape, I don't know. That was ridiculous. That you would hold on to a tape that's really, memorializing a homicide in progress, So why Supreme held on to that tape, I'll never know.
Huh.
But the tape really ends right as they pull up. So
it turns off?
It turns off.
Oh, so she doesn't even drop it, it just turns off.
Well, that I don't remember. I think it turns off because I don't remember if I heard gunshots on it or not.
Okay.
So, but I didn't know what I had initially. And my suspicions were it was that. And my partner, Tony Castiglia, he actually got the television shows for the day that were, you could hear it in the background, time stamped to that day, time, right up to the hit. We put it all together. I mean, it was pretty good police work. So, it wasn't that as easy as, it's not quite the home run you think it is coming across the tape like that. You still got to get the photographer to fess up to a certain degree too.
Okay, but she wasn't charged with anything because she's part of this murder in a way. In a way, she is part of this murder.
Yeah, I think she pled out. I forget what she pled out to, but she was arrested and she pled out.
Okay. And
she was such a disaster. I don't even know what they gave her. I don't,
Okay. And when Supreme had his trial, this actually came up in the trial?
Yes.
And was he convicted of this murder?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the murder of E and the murder of Troy Singleton. And I'm not sure if we added in the murders of K. Ron Claret and his partner from down in Baltimore, but definitely those two for New York.
Okay. And how much time was Supreme ultimately given?
Multiple life sentences, I guess. It was a death penalty RICO case, and the jury voted against the death penalty, but guilty on all the other charges.